problem. So a girl is throwing a toy at an angle of 30° from point A. So you have to determine what is the time between the between throws so that both toys strike the edges of the pool. So for example, what will be the time for B and what is the time taken for C location. The second one is what will be the speed she throw each time so that it will be falling inside this, right, inside this pool, something like that. Okay, so these are the two different types of problems. So what you have to do is I have to identify what is the time of flight for this location and what is the time of flight for this location C. And also I have to identify what will be the range, what will be the velocity so that it will be falling inside this. So from B to C, right? So these are the things you are going to identify. Okay. So looks like simple. Actually, it's simple problem. So what you are going to do is you have to divide it into two category. So ABS one curvilinear path and ACS another curvilinear path, and we are going to solve it with respect to that. Okay. So the it is similar to that. So first thing is I have to resolve this. Right. I have to resolve this in terms of UX and UI. So these are the two datas we'll be having. So when I resolve this, so when I consider UX, it is U cos 30, right? So cos 30 is 0.866, so 0.866 U. So this is my UX. If I consider UY will be sine, so U sine 30, so sine 30 degrees 0.5, so 0.5 U. So this is my other data, right? So I resolve this, we got these two values. So now I'm going to consider only one path. So let me consider path AB, right? Let us consider only path AB. So in this AB, I'm going to concentrate horizontal velocities, right? What is the horizontal velocity? So either it's path AB or AC, your UX UI is same. There is no change. Only this U value, that is by initial value, that you have to identify. Okay. Right. So for horizontal velocity, you know that your acceleration at this location is zero. So we got two equations. Vx is equal to ux, right? So they are not asking anything related to what is the velocity it is striking. So first equation we can eliminate. Second equation is x is equal to ut plus half at square. So x is equal to uxt is my second equation, right? X x distance is mentioned here. X is 2.5 meter. So in that case, I can write as 2.5 is equal to ux. So ux we know, which is 0.866 u. So 0.866 u into t, right? So there is no other values I have. So let me consider this as equation 1. Let me have this as a equation 1, right? So R I can also convert it. So I will also consider it the other one. So by considering UT as one unknown data, others on other side, right? We can do that also. But anyway, so this will be common. Let us look after the what is the next problem. So sorry, next your vertical velocity. Based on the data, we will substitute it. Okay. So now let us consider vertical velocity. When I consider vertical velocity, my acceleration is minus 9.81 because it is upward. So it is minus 9.81. And again, I am going to consider only the last term because I have data only for this S data. So when I consider S, so S here, so from this is my initial point and this is my final point. So the distance with respect to this, right, that is my S value, right? That is my y. So for example, y. So what is your vertical distance? So the vertical distance will be 1 minus 0.25. So it will be 0.75, right? And it is opposite to the direction, right? Which means negative. So minus 0.75, right? So first I will write the equation, then I will proceed. So we get the equation as y is equal to uyt minus 4.905. That is half a t square, right? Half a is 4.905 t square, right? So now I got what is my y value. So y value is a negative value. So minus 0.75. So minus 0.75 is equal to uy is known, which is 0.5 u. So 0.5 u t minus 4.905 t square. Right? This is my equation 2. Now I have to substitute some values. So to identify what is the time taken, right? So you can able to say from equation 1 and equation 2, I can eliminate this ut, right? Because from equation 1, ut will be 2.5 by 0.866, right? I can substitute it here so that I will get only one value t. We can easily solve, right? So from 1, substituting 1, right? So what I'll get minus 0.75 is equal to zero point 0.5 into ut is 2.5 divided by 0.866. Right? 2.5 divided by 0.866 minus 4.905 t square. Right? So only one unknown data, which is t square. So let me bring it on the other side. So I'll get 4.905 t square is equal to, so zero point 0.5 into 2.5 divided by 0.866 plus 0.75. Right? So what is the value of t you are getting for when you solve this? Okay, so you are getting 0.661 seconds. So this is my time. So hope everyone is getting the same value, right? Now they're also asking what is the initial velocity. You have to identify what is the initial velocity, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute it. So from 1, right? From 1. So what I'm going to do? So 1 is you have this value. So 2.5. 2.5 is equal to 0.866 ut, right? So in this, I will substitute the value of t and identify what is u. So u will be equal to, so 2.5 divided by 0.866 into 0.661. What is your initial velocity? Okay, 4.367
meter per second.
meter per second. Right? So this is my answer. Right? So now I got what is this value also. So this completes our first part AB, right? So the time is identified. The time taken is around 0.661 seconds, right? So that is the time taken where to locate that, and you got my U value, right? So let me consider this. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to consider the second part. So let me consider AC, right? So forget about the first one. Now we'll go for AC. Right, same procedure, there is no difference, right? I have to identify what is my horizontal velocity, right? So if I consider my horizontal velocity again, I have data only for your x distance. So x is 4 in this case, right? Because when you look here, so from this point your x distance is 4 now, right? So x is 4, so 4 is equal to 0.866 ut. So this is my equation 3. Right? So directly I am writing it. So you know that x is equal to ux into t. So I am substituting and I am getting something like this, right? So next vertical, if I consider vertical velocities, right, you will get in a different way. So what I will get again, I will consider y is equal to, y is equal to, so same uy t, right? Same uy t minus 4.905 t square, right? This is my value, and you know that y, there is no change in your y, right? So your y distance is again minus 0.75. There's no difference. Minus 0.75 is equal to This I can write as zero point 0.5 ut minus 4.905 t square. Again, I can substitute, let me consider this as equation 4. We can substitute 3 here, right? What I'll get when I substitute 3, we'll get minus 0.75 is equal to zero point 0.5 into ut. I can add 4 by, it is 4 by 0.866, right? This minus 4.905 t square. So again, so I can rewrite this 4.98 t square is equal to, so zero point 0.5 into 4 divided by 0.866 plus 0.75. So again, can you identify what is the value of t?
0.789.
So we are getting 0.789 seconds, right? This is my value of t. So now what I can do, I can substitute this in equation 3, right, to identify what is the value with respect to your u value, right? So when I substitute it, so what I'll get, so 4 is equal to 0.866 ut, right? In this case, your u will be equal to 4 divided by 0.866 into 0.786, right? What is your initial velocity here? 5.854 meter per second. Good. So this is my answer, right? I got these two values, right? So now, if you want your doll to fill inside this tub, whatever it is, right? So the range, right? The range of my velocity, if I consider what is the range, right? So the range of initial velocity, so the range of initial velocity will be equal to, from, yeah, 4.367 will be from 4.367 to 5.85 meter per second, right? So in between these things, right, in between this velocity, if you throw your doll, it will be inside this pool, right? Pool or bathtub, whatever it is. Okay. Able to see that you have a milk which is poured into a glass at a height of around 140 mm, right? They mentioned what is the height, 140 mm. So the height is what they mentioned is this location H, right? So no, no, they mentioned what is the height of the glass, right? So the milk is poured into a glass of height 140 mm. The height of the glass is 140 mm, and the inside diameter is also given, which is sorry, 66 mm. Initial velocity is given, which is 1.2 meter per second, and the angle is also given, which is 40 degree. So they are asking you what is the range of values of height. So at what height you have to pour your milk so that it will enter the gas, right? Can you able to understand the question,
Yes, sir.
right? So this is another one. So another problem related to this. Here, only difference here is your arrow. So usually we will consider upward direction. So which means your vertical velocity, whatever we consider the gravity as minus 9.81. So whereas in this case, it is downwards. The velocity is always is mentioned in downward direction, which means the acceleration is plus 9.81. So you have to make it as plus, right? And another thing is, so you have to convert all the units, right? So from mm to your meter, so that you will be clear in solving this problem. So let me consider this is my location. Now let us identify. So the distance from here to here is mentioned 80 mm. So which means in meter it is 0.08, right? So in meter, I am substituting everything in meter, right? So and they have mentioned what is the diameter. Diameter is 66, right? Which means this distance is 0.066, right? So the distance of your glass, right? And I know this distance, your vertical distance of your glass, right? The vertical distance of the glass is um, 140 mm height, which means 0.14 meter, right? And this distance I don't know. So the distance from here to here, I don't know. So that is what they are asking you to identify. Let me consider this as y, right? This data is not known. Okay. So to identify what is my position, right? So the other thing is, so when I resolve it, right? When I resolve it, I will get this is my uy and this is my ux, right? As I told you before, your ux arrow is like this, which means this is my positive x-axis, right? The opposite direction is negative, right? Positive, sorry, we are concentrating on y, right? So this is positive y-axis, right? So the arrow indicates the sign. So the along that arrow it is positive. Opposite to that is negative. So which means whatever the value I am substituting here. So y or zero point 0.4, that is a positive value. It is not a negative value, right? Because the arrow is downward direction. Along that arrow, it is always positive, right? So that are the two things. So other things are same. So let us proceed the same procedure whatever we have done previously, right? So the first thing is I have to resolve this. I have to identify what is my ux and uy. So let us identify that. So what is my ux? Ux will be u cos theta. U is also known, which is u is 1.2 and cos theta is 40 degree. Right, theta is 40 degree. It is mentioned. So what is your ux then?
0.919.
0.919 meter per second. Right, this is my ux. Similarly, let us consider uy. So uy is u sine theta, right, which is 1.2 sine 40 degree. So what is your uy?
0.771.
0.771 meter per second. Very good. So now I identify these two datas, right? So let me proceed one by one. So let me consider first case. So your milk is poured at this location AB, right? So let us identify that. Okay. So I'm going to consider the location AB, right? So when I consider location AB, so your horizontal velocity. Okay. So directly I will go for the last one. You know that the last term is x is equal to ux into t, right? Of A is 0, so you will get only this term, right? X, if I consider the x value, it is zero point 0.8, 0.08. There is no other values related to that. So it is 0.08. So 0.08 is equal to ux into t. What is your ux? Ux is already identified, which is 0.919. 0.919 t, right? So what is the value of t?
0.087 seconds.
0.0
0.087.
0.087, 0.087 seconds, right? This is my t, right? Time taken. Okay, now I'll go for vertical velocity. So when I consider your height, so you know that it is from initial velocity to the final location. So initial location is A, final location is B. That is your y, right? That is your y. So let me consider y itself. Y is equal to, let me write the formula. Y is equal to uyt plus of at square, right? Why it is plus? Because it is downward direction. So y is same y, which is equal to uy. So uy I know, which is 0.771, 0.771 t, right? Plus 4.905 t square. So if I consider equation 1, you know what is the value of t, right? So let me substitute it here. So what I'll get? So y is equal to 0.771 t. Sorry, t is 0.087. 0.087 plus 4.905, 0.087 square. So what is your y? 0.104 meter. So actually the question is, what is the range of height h? Height means from the ground, right? So which means I have to add this 0.14 also, right? So height 0.105 plus 0.14, right? Which will be around 0.244 meter, right? Our height is 244 mm. This is my height for the first location. So for AB, right? When I pouring my milk. So this part is over now. Let me go for the next one now. So the next one is AC. Same procedure. So we know what is the horizontal velocity. So your x is equal to ux into t, same formula. But x value is changing now. It is 0.08 plus 0.066, right? So your x value is 0.08 plus 0.066, which is equal to ux. Ux is already known, which is 0.919 into t. So can you find out what is the value of t now? 0.152 seconds. Good. So we identify this. So we consider this as equation 2. Now we will go for vertical. Again, we are going to concentrate only on this part, right? So only on the last part. So y is equal to uy. I will directly write down. So your uy is zero point 0.7. So I think this is the same thing. I will get it, right? So 0.7771 t, right? Plus 4.905 plus 4.905 t square. So I will substitute the value of t as this one. So that's the only difference. So your y will be equal to 0.771 into 0.152 plus 4.905 into 0.152 the whole square. So what is the value of y? 0.253.
3, sir.
Okay. Next, height. Let us identify what is the height. Height is 0.23 plus 0.14, right? 0.37 meter, right? So which means height is 370 mm, right? Height is 370 mm. So now I identify what is the range. Range of height to pour milk into the glass. 244 mm to 370 mm. So you have a bullet which is fired. So the angle of the bullet is around 30-degree. So you are asked to identify what is the velocity it hits the ground. What is the velocity it hits the ground, and what is the range it takes, and what is the maximum height it achieves. Right? These are the three problems. Right? So as usual, let us solve this. So we will consider this as ux and this as uy. So these are the two terms. Right? So let us identify what is my ux and uy. So ux is u cos theta, which is equal to u is 51. So 51 cos 30-degree. So what is the value we are getting? What is your
44.167, sir.
ux? 44.167 meter per second. Very good. So next we'll identify what is your uy. Uy is u sine theta, right? Which is 51 sine 30, which is 25.5, right? So uy is 25.5 meter per second. right? So these two values we identified. So let us go for horizontal now.
கதவு சாத்தலாம் அந்த
Yes,
கூப்பிடாத அந்த கூப்பிடாத கதவு
yes, Shashank. Ah, thank you. So let us consider the horizontal velocity. So horizontal velocity we will consider the three formulas. First formula v is equal to u plus at. So which means ux is equal vx is equal to ux t, right? So which means vx is equal to ux. Ux is what we identified 44.161, 44.167 t. Let me consider this as equation 1, right? Next, I'm going to consider next equation v square is equal to u square plus 2as, but there is no change. We will get again v is equal to, sorry, this is wrong, right? Sorry. So v is equal to u plus at. So for the first equation is v is equal to u plus at, which means vx is equal to ux. That's it, right? So that's my first equation, which means u vx is equal to ux we already identified, which is 44.161. So this is 44.167 meter per second. So we already identified we are vx directly, right? This is my vx. This is over. Next, I will concentrate on your second equation. Second equation v square is equal to u square plus 2as. So which is again you will get same vx is equal to ux. Leave it. Let me go for third equation. X is equal to ut plus half at square. So I don't know what is my x. X is not given. X is equal to uxt, right? Plus half at square. A is 0 in this case, so that will become 0. So it is nothing but x is equal to ux into t. That's it. X I don't know. Ux I know, which is 44.167 t. Let me consider this as equation 1, right? So these are the two datas I have for horizontal velocity. I don't have other datas. Let me go for vertical now, right? Let me go for vertical velocity. In my vertical velocity, your acceleration is minus 9.81. So because it is towards upward direction, so it will be same. So now we will go for the same formula. V is equal to u plus at. So which means Vy is equal to Uy minus 9.81 t, right? So which means your Vy is equal to Uy, right? What is your Uy? So Uy is 25.5. So 25.5 minus 9.81 t. So let me consider this as equation 2, right? Let me go for the next one. V square is equal to u square plus 2as. So which means Vy square is equal to Uy square minus 9.81 s, right? S is your height, right? So we call here as y. We call here as y. Okay. So now you can able to see that. So we get what is my Vy square. Uy square is
Sir, excuse me,
25.5
sir.
the whole square. Yes.
Sir, v square equal to u square plus 2a as a formula. 2 into 9.81
2
வரல.
as. Sorry. Yes, yes. Sorry. I missed it. So 2 as. Right? V square is equal to u square plus 2 as. So which means Vy square is equal to Uy square minus 2 into 9.81 y. Right? Minus 2 into 9. 550 meter. So minus 550. Right? So we'll get minus 550. Right? So what happens? So this becomes positive. So you will get Vy square is equal to 25.5 the whole square plus 2 into 9.81 into 550. Right? What is your Vy square? So after you identify Vy square, you can also identify what is Vy.
Sir, Vy is equal to 106.96, sir. Sir, that is
106.9.
11441. Vy square is
Okay, it is
11441.25.
11441.25. Okay.
Yes,
So meter square per second square. Okay, what is your Vy? Plus or minus
106.96.
106.963.
106.963
Okay, meter per
meter per
second.
second.
Okay, good. Yeah, very good. So now my question is whether your Vy is positive or negative. When you take root, you will
Negative,
get
sir.
plus or minus, right? Yeah. So Vy is negative because when it strikes the ground here, your arrow is like this, right? Which means when I resolve it, you will get something like this. This is my Vy, this is my Vx, right? So Vy is towards downward direction, opposite to the direction of your Uy, so which is negative. So you have to consider only the negative term in this case. So Vy is minus 106.93 meter per second, right? So this is my answer for this case. Now I have completed the first part, which is what is the velocity it strikes the ground, right? So we know that the velocity is Vx I know, Vy I know, I can identify that. Okay, so that is the first part. Okay, right. So okay, let us identify that. So velocity when it strikes the ground, when it strikes the ground, right? So initial velocity is like this. Sorry, x direction it is 44.167. Y direction towards downward direction, which is 106.93. These are the two values. So what I do, you have two forces now. You are going to take it's like force. I'm telling as force because velocity is I'm considering dependent to force. So what I can do, I will identify what is the resultant, right? What is the formula? You know. So resultant is equal to root of 44.167 the whole square plus 106.93 the whole square. So just like what you have done for forces, same thing you can do it for velocity. What is the resultant?
115.722, sir.
115.732 meter per second.
722, sir.
Okay, 722 meter per second. Okay. So this is my velocity, final velocity. Velocity is 115.722 meter per second. Similarly, I can also identify what is the angle theta. So when I consider the angle theta, Fy by Fx, same formula, tan theta, right? So I can identify what is tan theta is equal to 106.93 divided by, so this 44.167. So what is your theta? Theta is tan inverse of this. What is the value of theta?
67.56, sir.
67.55.
67,
61.55
sir.
degree, right?
67.
Okay, 67
Yes, sir.
degree, right? So which means when it hits the ground, when it hits the ground, your final velocity is value at it is hitting at 67.7 degrees angle, and the velocity is 115. Right. So these are the datas. So we identify and velocity. Well, of course, it's a vector quantity, which means you have to identify both magnitude and direction. So both are important, right? So this part is over, right? So the next one is just a minute. Yeah, right. So any doubt up to this?
No, sir.
Okay. So this first part is over, right? Next, height from the ground. What is the maximum height? So this height they're asking to identify, right? So we don't know how to do this, right? You know that. So when it reaches the maximum height, right? When it reaches the maximum height, so from this location, so actually we can't identify for the entire thing. So because we can identify only from the initial position, right? From here, this is my height I can identify. So when you reach the maximum height here, what about your velocity?
Zero, sir.
Yeah, your velocity is 0, right? Your final velocity will be 0. So now again I'm going to consider the same equation here, so which is this equation, right? So I'm going to consider this v square is equal to u square, this equation, right? So let me consider this. So let me consider, I have mentioned it as equation, right? No. Okay, let me call this as equation 3. I'm going to consider the same equation 3, right? Let me consider 3. So your 3 is vy square is equal to uy square. So I will write it here. So uy square minus 2 into 9.81 y. So vy square is equal to uy square minus 2 into 9.81 y. Now y is unknown, right? Your maximum velocity is 0 now because it is achieving the height, maximum height, which means your velocity will be 0 at that location. But you have initial velocity which is 25.5 the whole square minus 2 into 9.81 y. So can you identify what is the y value? 25.5 the whole square divided by 2 into 9.8. What is your y value? Okay, 33.142 meter. So which means height from ground. So this 33.142 plus the height of this. So the height of your hill is 550, right? So 550. So which means 583.142. Right? This is my height. This is my answer. This is my second answer. Right? What is the maximum height it will reach? Right? So that also we identified. Next, they are asking what is the range. Range is nothing but your x distance. Right? At what distance x it will travel. The bullet will travel. Right? That is your range. So already we have an equation which is x is equal to 44.167 t. We are having it like that. So since only if I know the value of t, I can able to substitute it. Okay. Still now you can able to see that in vertical velocity I have not use the third equation s is equal to ut plus half at square. I have used the first equation v is equal to u plus at, and the second equation v square is equal to u square plus 2as. Right. Let me use the third equation. Right, I'm going for the third equation now, so which is s is equal to ut plus half at square. S is equal to ut plus half at square. So how will you write this? S is the distance from your location to the ground, from the hill to the ground, which is minus 500. So 550 minus 550, right? This is equal to UYT minus 4.905 T square. Right. So UY is, what is your UY? UY is 25.5. So 25.5 T minus 4.905 T square. So what I can do, I can write it as 4.905 T square minus 25.5 T, right, minus 550 is equal to 0. So you have a quadratic equation. Can you identify what is the time taken?
13.5, sir.
So 13.5 seconds. Good.
Another
So what is the
value
time taken?
minus
So sometimes
8.3.
another value is,
Minus 8.3.
okay, leave that. So negative term, you no need to worry about it. So always consider the positive value. So in this 13.5, so if they ask you what is the time taken for the bullet to strike the ground, you can also include this, right? So now I am going to take the first equation, right? First equation is x is equal to 44.167 t, right? I am going to substitute it. So x is equal to 44.167 t. In this, x is equal to 44.167 into 13.5. So what is your x distance? 596.25 meter. So this is my x value. Right. So the last one, range, is also identified.